Kelce, Ertz, Wentz. Gone? What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show. It is great to be here with all of you today. It is 11:21 a.m. here on the East Coast. It is the 5th of January in the new year 2021. As always, joined alongside my co-host Gavin Tony. Gavin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Zach. Listen, another day on this trash school laptop. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, my quality's gonna be better. I'm gonna figure out what's wrong with my other one. A little bit email issues, but all in all, Zach, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Sixers looked good last night. Steph Curry is throwing his team on his back. The Warriors are looking better, so I'm sure you're happy about that.
Always.
Sixers have the best record in the league right now at 6-1. A lot of great things that we like to see. They didn't even play their starters in the fourth quarter at all. I didn't hear the Giants complaining about that. But all jokes aside, no, I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here.
I mean, I told Zach, I was telling people that the Sixers had the potential to be at number one in the East, and I was laughed at, or some people thought they were going to be a 5 to 6 seed again. And I said they reinvented this whole entire franchise from the office standpoint and got a whole new coaching staff that's about winning. I mean, Zach, you got Doc Rivers, who, yes, blows 3-1 leads, but he is a champion and he's a winner. I never was in, below 500. I never seen it. You got Daryl Morey, who plays to win, as Don loves to point out, and my argument against that is what has he won, but he does play to win. And then you have an owner group, which I'm not going to touch on because I'm not finding that owner group yet. But, Zach, the Sixers are top of the East. They look pretty. They're doing it. They're doing it with Ben Simmons. James Harden who? Just saying.
Every day, Ben Simmons makes his case as to why he should be a Sixer. First of all, he is the second best ranked defender in the league right now. By the way, Tobias Harris is also up there. Joel Embiid is up there. And Danny Green is up top 20 defenders in the league. I just saw that stat yesterday. I did not see who number one was. I'd imagine it's either Kawhi, Giannis, or Anthony Davis. But again, I said this before the season. Ben Simmons is the best defender in the league. What other point guard has the speed to stick with the guard, but can also switch onto a big without a problem? And so my case stands. I like where the Sixers are going. I like where this team is, Gavin. Like you said, they've rebuilt themselves. Do I think they're going to make the NBA Finals? Not necessarily. We do catch a break on Thursday when we play the Nets because Kevin Durant will be out because of coronavirus quarantine. We'll discuss that a little bit later because there is some controversy with that given that he already had it. But other than that, Gavin, we just have a quick breaking news story coming in right now. We're going to cover it for you. Stay tuned. The coronavirus still exists going into the playoffs. After a successful season, the coronavirus is already starting to cause issues. The Browns' positives continue, including head coach Kevin Stefanski just had a positive test, which is going to include a quarantine, which will make him miss their game on Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a big story coming out. We don't know if they're going to move this game. We don't know what that would look like. It's going to become a mess now because playoffs are very time sensitive. Regular season games you can move around. There was discussion of a bubble for the playoffs. The NFL turned it down. Again, credit to the league. They got 17 successful weeks in. Gavin, we both had our doubts about it, especially you, and we were both wrong. With that being said, the concerns are now bleeding into the playoffs, and now we're going to have some major issues with the Cleveland Browns.
Well, Zach, if this was a regular season game, I would say roll without your coach. All right, roll without him. But here's the deal. Your coach is kind of the big reason on why you're in this position in the first place. Your coach is the reason why we're talking about the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. The coach is your reason why he came up with this fantastic scheme to make Baker Mayfield look like a couple $1 million quarterback. All right, we talked about Baker Mayfield not return next year, Zach. I was the first one to stand up and say I don't think Baker Mayfield should be there next year, proven otherwise. But here's the deal: if I'm the NFL and I see this, you have to move this game back. You have to. When it comes to a big success, a big key part, Zach, If Tom Brady were to catch the virus, knock on wood, I'm not wishing he does, but Tom Brady were to catch the virus, don't you think they would have moved that game back?
Yes, the NFL without a doubt would move that game. They
All
made
right,
the Baltimore Ravens game when they had all those positives. The Broncos game they didn't touch.
it's all about moneymakers. People want to see the Browns do well, especially if you're in Cleveland. And we know a Browns fan on hand, and he loves Kevin Stefanski. If I'm the NFL and I see this, I'm like, I have to push this game back. I have to. The coach is a big part. Zach, we're gonna see what it really means. We're gonna see if it's really about the people's health and the players and the team, or is it just a money situation? Because we saw what they did to the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos had no business being out there that Sunday. We saw what happened to the Ravens. They had no business being out there, so they waited. This is a game we have to push back at least into a Tuesday or something. And I know that's gonna ruin the playoffs, but guess what, Zach? This is the year where you got to roll with the punches. But this is a really big punch. If you're the Cleveland Browns, you're asking for it to get pushed back.
I'll make it plain and simple. You take the Super Bowl, the date that it is, and you push it back to the following Sunday. You have 2 weeks in there to really work with, so I think that's a good start. On top of all of that, the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship, you push that back to another week, which is the week before the Super Bowl, what would be the Pro Bowl if it was happening this year. And then you keep all the games as scheduled right now, but that gives you more flexibility. So if the Browns-Steelers game is moved, and then let's say the winner of that game were to go on to play the Buffalo Bills, that game would also be moved. All right, and then let's say that maybe 2 or 3 games, because let's be real here, at least 2 or 3 games will be moved, assuming that they actually care about the health of the players, which I'm not going to speculate on, but we know how important money is to the league. With all that being said, let's say they move it back a few times. Let's say we lose 5 or 6 days. That actually gives you an extra day to prepare if you move the championships all up a week. You move them up a week for the late February. I think mid-February will be the Super Bowl, February 11th or February 12th. You do that, and you have 2 weeks for the Super Bowl. So if you get a few positives, then you have 2 weeks to get everything calmed down. On top of all that, you could go into a bubble right now. You could just slam the brakes for 2 weeks here, go into a bubble, make sure everything works. Again, I doubt they're going to do that. But realistically speaking, if we're going to handle this correctly, you need to push back, keep everything as scheduled except for the AFC and the NFC championship games and the Super Bowl. And then as games need to be moved, you move them. And then you have an extra week, extra 2 weeks, arguably, because the Super Bowl is a 2-week event, to be able to have some flexibility.
The reason why I say push this back is Zach, this Browns team has a chance to win this game. And this is not the hater in me. This is not the Steelers hating me. I'm being generally honest, Zach. We saw what they did last week. We know what the Browns are capable of doing. If they don't have their mastermind of a coach, you have to push this game back because there's serious implications that they could win this game. The Bears, yes, Zach, I know the favors heavily in the Saints. But, Zach, those games where you know the Saints are going to win. You could say any given Sunday, a team like the Bears could come out and win. But Zach, we know Sean Payton's not going to lose. But it's about this game and the fact that one, the Steelers haven't been that hot the whole month of December and a little bit of end of November, and I love to point that out. The Browns also worked their hardest to get here and have the chance to beat the Steelers in the playoffs and ruin everything they worked for this year. And if you don't push this game back, that's a failed season. That's a failed season. You just hand walk a game to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got to push this game back. There's no way this game rolls on. What is it? Saturday? There's no way.
Yeah, no, I mean, they were 11-5. Again, if you don't lose to the Jets, if your wide receivers are healthy, and then on top of all of that, you actually are able to win that Ravens shootout on Monday Night Football, the Browns are 13-3. That's pretty good. I don't think people realize how good the Browns have been all year. They had 1 or 2 tough games that people like to laugh at. But in all honesty, is the NFL in trouble? I think so. I think games are going to be moved, and then you need to have the appropriate preparations prepared. And what that means is you got to push back games. The Super Bowl will not occur on the current day that it is. I don't believe so. And if it does, it's going to be some sloppy play. It's going to be some moving around and mitigating. I hope for the best for the NFL. I'm glad that we have this access to testing for the player's safety. But when you do get the positives, when things come back, especially with a head coach, some key decisions need to be made in the NFL front offices right now.
So you You know what bothers me about this? It's mind blowing. It's the fact that once again, Roger Goodell is put in a tough spot. He dropped the ball versus for the Broncos, even though the Broncos were at fault. No one was wearing masks. We get that. I get that. But this is a head coach. This head coach means a lot to him. All right. If
Could be
Patrick
coach of the year.
Mahomes could be coach of the year. And the fact that he just won, he brought his team to playoffs, so he's not there. That could be a problem. But another point I want to bring to you is like, could you imagine you do all this hard work? I'm talking for everybody's perspective. Can you imagine doing all this hard work, Zach? It's like me and you. We did all this hard work to get the show to the tippy top, where we get in front of head executives, right? And we have one show to perform, and like one show to perform, and my internet cuts out, or your internet cuts out, and the show's over, and they don't get another chance. That's what the Super Bowl is to these people. You work hard all year long. You made sacrifices. You couldn't do some things, and you had to risk your health being for that team. And you get to the Super Bowl, and you're out. I think 2 weeks is enough time. AFC, NFC championship, and 2 weeks later, two weeks later, and it's the Super Bowl. I'm all for that. I'm all for it. Make sure everybody's healthy for the last dance, because a lot of people worked hard to get to the last dance. Zach, if LeBron James goes to the finals this year and he misses due to the virus, that's two finals games right there. Everybody wants to be healthy.
At least.
Everybody wants to be healthy for the last dance. And the only difference about NBA is that it's a series. This is one game. You got to do better, Roger Goodell. Every game matters to these players.
Look, we'll see how they respond. We'll continue to cover it here again. Breaking news: Kevin Stefanski, as well as a few other Cleveland Browns players testing positive for COVID-19. It's a tricky situation, but I feel like you pushed back games before. Why would you not do it here? And if you got to move some of the other championship games, if you have to move the Super Bowl, I think we'll be okay, especially in the time that we're living in right now.
But that's the meta of 2020 was you just got to make the best of what you got going on. Zach, I haven't been in our school for the past 3 to 4 months. All right? The NBA had to pause their season, and they just finished the season. They're restarting back up. Kevin Durant's not playing Thursday, which I'm okay with, but I want to see that matchup. Zach, that's a year this year, last year, and I want to say a little bit of this year. The virus isn't gone yet, ladies and gentlemen. It's a new year of the same stuff. Roger, you're on the clock. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll see how it rolls out. Again, it's up to them to make the right decision. I think that they will move the game. Hopefully, they can move some of the games to give some time. But coming up after this, we're going to continue to break down the Sixers' hot start after a very good victory yesterday over the Charlotte Hornets. Stay tuned. We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom-designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewer's choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode. Again, as we pointed out here early in the show, the Sixers are off to a hot start this year. And how hot are you asking? Well, they're the best record in the NBA. They're number 2 in the power rankings behind the Los Angeles Lakers. This is a very exciting team to look at. It's not the same old team from last year or the year before. We have made some major changes from top to bottom. The Sixers have a new front office pretty much. Ownership group is the same, but the coaching staff is different. The players, a couple of new players, new additions that I like. Tyrese Maxey from the draft is just the cherry on top. But you go out and you get Seth Curry. You go out and get yourself Danny Green, who had himself a night last night. Gavin, this team is looking phenomenal right now. I'm so excited for the Sixers team. Again, I've been saying from the beginning of the year, don't overreact. I think that this team is good. I don't think they're as good as the Bucks yet. I don't think they're as good as the Nets. But again, time will tell. If they go out there, they beat both these teams, and they look great, they can be on their way to a 1 seed. They are the most balanced team in the East, and I'll explain what I mean in a minute. They're the most balanced team. They're the best defensive team in the NBA, and they have 4 players in the top 20 best defensive players in the league, including Ben Simmons at number 2, who's my pick right now for Defensive Player of the Year. Now, let me explain what I mean by balance. If the Sixers are struggling to knock down jump shots, what happens? You get a Joel in the post, or Ben, who looks really aggressive. I said this before. Ben Simmons, when he's aggressive, can get to the hoop whenever he wants. He did it yesterday. Looked phenomenal. Almost got another triple-double. Almost his career high, his season high in points. I like to see that. Again, it's not more than 20. It's nothing to be mind-blown about. but it's why we're balanced. James Harden shot 26% last night, Gavin. If you bring in James Harden, as much as I'd like to see him and Embiid work together, you're going to have nights where he's struggling like that, and you're not going to be able to pull off the win. But if Ben Simmons is struggling one night, or if Joel last night didn't have his high points, Danny Green's out there to pull up some threes. You have Seth Curry out there to pull up consistently and score consistently. Shake Milton off your bench. Tyrese Maxey, who knocked down 2 triples yesterday. Matisse Thybulle's out there. He's starting to be more productive. This is a really balanced team. There's a lot of things I like about this team, and I see a formula for success. You're not relying on 2 superstars like Kevin Durant and Kyrie to score all of your points, right? Ben doesn't score all the points. Joel, who is the team leader in points, is doing well. And how about Tobias Harris, Eastern Conference Player of the Week? Props to him. He's playing really, really well right now. He's playing like that contract that he's gotten. And so,
he took it personal. He took it personal.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You have the Bucks, right? You take a look at the Milwaukee Bucks. You rely on Giannis way too much in the playoffs. It falls through. The Miami Heat, I'm going to call it a fluke last year, as much as I love some of those players on that team. If you go back in the situation you are this year, a 5 seed's not going to be able to pull it off again. Heat make me regret those words, change my mind, but as far as I see it, there's no reason to believe that they could repeat that success in a regular environment. And so the Sixers look like the most balanced team in the NBA. Doesn't make them the best? The answer is no, because time will tell. Again, last year, I didn't see them as a balanced team. I saw them as a paint team who got an easy schedule early. But again, and I've said this about 3 or 4 times now, time will tell, and that's going to be the key to knowing whether or not the Sixers can be a legitimate threat in the Eastern Conference this year.
Well, Zach, first of all, the thing you just said about the Heat, on the night they wear your favorite jerseys too. The night they wear your favorite jerseys, ladies and gentlemen, those jerseys are fantastic.
And the court looks spectacular too. No disrespect to the Heat, I love the Miami Heat, but they're still a few pieces away from being a legitimate threat.
Slow start, young players. I like it, Zach. But here's the thing: this Sixers team is good. All right, they're better than last year. Are they better than the year with Jimmy Butler? I don't know yet. I don't know.
Better
bench for sure. Yes. When it comes to this year's team, oh my gosh, 7 people again. Zach, 7 players are over double-digit points again. 1 person at 20, and the rest are under 15. But guess what, Zach? My math adds up correctly. If you have 7 players over double-digit points, you should be fine. You should be fine. Now, give or take the competition level, yes, the Charlotte Hornets, but the Charlotte Hornets are no slouch. They beat Brooklyn before. All right. They beat their undefeated Orlando Magic. Everybody, and Trent said the best. The night where they lost to Cleveland, everybody lost, which is the truth. Everybody lost. Boston, Milwaukee, everybody lost that night. So that's nothing to say. Every good team lost. But I will say this, Zach. To say that this Sixers team doesn't have the potential to be the number 1 seed, let's see what they look like at All-Star break. All-Star break says it all about what team is going to do what. And then after All-Star break is then when we start to get the final picture of what it's going to be. I like what I see so far. You got Ben Simmons, and let's talk about Ben Simmons real quick. Ben Simmons in an interview said, I know what I can do. He knows what Zach, Ben Simmons knows he can get 20 points if he needs to, but he doesn't need to. He needs to facilitate. And this is where all these James Harden lovers don't understand. James Harden's going to get you 20 points a night. That's cool. But is he going to get others involved? I don't believe so. That's what Ben Simmons is doing. Zach, did you see the behind-the-back pass to Joel Embiid yesterday?
I did.
Let's go back to the first game. Did you see the drop pass to Seth Curry? Is James Harden doing that? No, he's pulling. And that's the thing people don't understand. Is Ben Simmons is arguably the best facilitator in the league. He's getting others involved. And yes, we know, Zach, when we want Ben Simmons to be aggressive, but Ben Simmons basically said, hold on, wait a minute. What we got going on right now is working. Why do I need to be aggressive right now when it's working? Do I wish some nights Ben Simmons takes over? Yes. But if they're winning, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, Zach. That's what I'm going to say. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Defense wins championships, ladies and gentlemen.
Best defense in the league.
Best defense in the league. Zach, you got a guy that's 6'10", guards 1 through 5, that can facilitate, that can take away anybody. Trent said yesterday, he said put him in straps, straight jackets. That's what he said. He said straight jackets. What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? They're not some Ben Simmons. Now you could look and say, well, what about Terry Rozier? Terry Rozier wasn't guarded by Ben Simmons. He was guarded by somebody else. Zach, Ben Simmons is one of the best defensive players You can say behind Giannis. You can say behind Kawhi Leonard. But Ben Simmons is front runner for defensive MVP this year. Everybody he's going against is in straitjackets, as Trent said. Now, here's another thing, Zach, and I'm gonna toss it to you. You're gonna give up that great of a defensive talent and a guy that knows he can get his points when needed to. That's arguably a consistent jump shot away from being what LeBron said, another version of him. You're gonna give that away for a guy that's gonna give you 20 points that can't defend. Zach, James Harden's first game, he gave up 44 to CJ McCollum. And what did Dom say to me? He said, defense, anyone could guard. Defense is a mindset. Defense is this, defense is that. It doesn't matter. Defense is a talent too, damn it. Look at Kevin Durant. He's tall and lanky. We didn't start talking about his defense till what, when he got to Golden State? All right, look at Draymond Green's defense. Yes, he's undersized, but he won a couple of defensive player of the years.
They're starting to win now.
All right, Kawhi Leonard.
Draymond's back in the lineup. They're 2-1 since Draymond's been back.
And he's facilitating as well, Zach. If I may say that, Curry's been off the ball a lot bit more. But Zach, when you look at the Sixers and you look at Ben Simmons and you look at the people we have around Ben Simmons, Zach, we got Tyrese Maxey. Shake Milton was looking way better, and he put on a little bit of muscle. Tobias Harris is here now. Joel Embiid had an off night last night, but guess what? He still had 14 points. All right. Did I miss anybody? Seth Curry's here. Not Draymond Green. Excuse me. Danny Green is here. The problem was there wasn't shooters around Ben Simmons last year. Now there is. Joel Embiid is healthy. Knock on wood. All right. This team has the potential to be the best team in the East. Zach, I need to see him against Brooklyn and some other teams too. But I can't. Right here, right now, if you still think that James Harden is going to be the answer in Philadelphia, then you must not know basketball. You must not know basketball.
You know, he's the better player, but he's not the better fit.
He is a better offensive player. You can say offensive player.
Yeah, he's not the best. He's not the better fit, in my opinion, with the other shooters you've already surrounded with. With all that being said, I mean, I'll tell you this. If you play Brooklyn with Kevin Durant, I know this Thursday won't count. You play against Brooklyn, Boston, Indiana, Miami, and Milwaukee, and you win 3 or 4 out of those 5 games, I think we're doing all right. That's going to be the tell.
3 to 4, and Zach, we talk about teams that I want to see. I want to see Boston versus Sixers. I think right now, because there's no Kemba Walker, and who knows what Kemba is going to look like when he comes back, Jason Tatum is playing out of his mind. Jason Tatum, 6'10". Who can guard Jason Tatum? I don't know. Ben Simmons.
Exactly.
And Trent said the best. I'm going to reiterate what he said. He said, why would you trade someone that gives you the best chance to guard Kevin Durant, who you face? Well, this year will be 3 times a year because he's out. It's Thursday. But you got a guy that can guard Kevin Durant. And then you got Kyrie Irving. He said, defense is going to be key versus Brooklyn. That's the truth. I'm not trading Ben Simmons. And I think, and going back to the original point, Sixers being number 1 in the East, I got to wait till after All-Star break to see what it is. But I can see them being number 1 in the East. Now, finals and all that stuff, that's for later. That's for a later discussion.
For sure, balanced, fit. I mean, it's all working together. We'll see how it rolls out when you play tougher opponents. With that being said, coming up after this, the Philadelphia Eagles turmoil begins as the offseason has begun already. We'll break down some of our initial thoughts, some things that we've heard from the general manager, and then a couple other things. Stay tuned. Would you like to know how you can support the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show? If so, head down to the comments on our YouTube channel. You will see 2 links there. The first is our Teespring, where you can see a wide variety of apparel products, including our signature product, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show sweatshirts, offered in a variety of different colors, including gray, navy blue, and more. Finally, we have our Patreon page, where you can become a monthly donation member. 10% of all donations go towards an organization of our viewers' choice. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you can't donate, that's okay, because you can always share this. Now, before we get started with the Eagles talk today, Gavin, the Knicks are 4-3. I just noticed that this morning. I just thought he's a quick laugh before we get into the more serious conversation. But yes, the Knicks are over 500. Very exciting news.
Their owner still sucks. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we'll see how that's going. RJ Barrett looking pretty good. But yes, let's get to it. As the intro to the show kind of talked about it. the Philadelphia Eagles are entering some turmoil. Salary looks terrible. Fourth most expensive roster in the NFL. You have a quarterback who apparently wants out. And then you also see the other night after the Eagles game, 4 people were on the NFL on the Eagles field after that game was over. Well, after that game was over into the night. It was Carson Wentz, Zach Ertz, Jason Kelce, and then the head security guy. I forget his name, Dom something. I apologize, but he's been there forever. It was pretty depressing to watch. I've been on that field in the middle of the night before when there was no one there. We were on a tour, a very small group, and I was on that field, and it's a little eerie at night when it's quiet. A stadium.
Sorry to cut you
Yeah.
off. I was there after on a Monday. When the field is when you're there, when you're the only one there, it hits different. It feels a little bit depressing there. Go on.
For sure. I mean, I think that just the memories, I guess I'd say, on that field. NFC Championship, of course, we know Carson Wentz was not at the helm, but he was there. Jason Kelce, Zach Ertz, when you beat Dallas last year and what was Carson's biggest game of his career, the comeback against Washington week 1 of last season, takes a lot out of you as a fan. And I just wanted to kind of bring that up here because there's a good possibility at least 2/3 of the guys I just named will not be back next year. I think Zach Ertz is almost a guarantee that he will not be back, which is devastating, but the right business move to make. Carson Wentz at the moment, I'm unsure, and then Jason Kelce could be retiring. We don't know. Those are just some of my thoughts from the images that we saw the other night. It was just, I mean, I guess I could feel because I've been there, right? I've not been to any significant playoff games. My brother had the opportunity to be able to go, but I have not. Gab, I know yourself as well. You've had some great experiences on that field, having an opportunity to meet some of the guys that you have. And, I've been there for a lot of games. The Washington comeback that I noted a few minutes ago was there. The Eagles against the Seahawks last year when Carson was knocked out with a concussion was there. The loss to the Lions, the big win against the Packers, the 49ers game 3 years ago in the Super Bowl year when Jalen Mills had a pick six.
You was there too?
I was there.
You was there? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I was there. I was there too, ladies and gentlemen. That's why.
As well as and finally the game against Atlanta week 1 of the 2018 season after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. It's, as an Eagles fan, it's tough to watch. I don't think people necessarily understand the emotions that Eagles fans have. I don't think people understand why we're so passionate about our city, but the reason that we are is because we all come together in one stadium, in one team. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what your skin color is. It doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. If you're an Eagles fan, you bleed green just like the rest of us. And it's something that is always going to be a part of any passionate Eagles fan. And so just watching 3 key players as a part of that Super Bowl, so it was just hard to watch the other night. It definitely was hard to watch after a devastating loss.
First game I can officially say I've been to was Eagles Bills, LaShawn McCoy's home game, or return game, I should say. On the sideline, on the field, got to watch the game in the box. Appreciate the Eagles for that. Thank you. Then I go to the 49ers game. Zach, hey, I didn't know you were there, but I was there too. All right. That was a great game. That was good.
Rainy, cold day, but they pulled off the win easily.
Loved it. Then I think my last game I went to, Carolina, blow the 17 or 14-point lead to Cam Newton. Cam Newton falls down the end zone, which I was on the side of that, so I got to laugh at it. But Cam Newton was trying to give a ball to a kid, so something about 69,000 or however many people filled the stadium. 69,000, but let's just say 40-something thousand plus. Something about all of us screaming at the same time. Zach, you said right. Political affiliation doesn't matter. If race, gender doesn't matter. All right, it doesn't matter when you're in that stadium. We all want the same thing. We just want our team to do well. We want our team to be winners. All right. The reason why we're hard on this team because we know what this team can do. They're not scrubs, Zach. They're not scrubs. All right. We know that the Philadelphia Eagles and the heart and soul that this city brings. Zach, I talked about yesterday. Just never give up attitude, just fight. So there's no more. You remember the Broad Street Bullies, the hockey team, the Flyers, the Sixers, and trust the process and their fight. I get me started about that trash team. I don't think they had heart, but that's listen. We're swinging a baseball bat. I don't know if they can even do that. But Zach, well, I gotta say this: those three men, football players. I know there's four, but those three men, the football players, they all contribute to this city in different ways. Jason Kelce's been here the longest out of all those tenured guys, right? He had a phenomenal season. He was contemplating about coming back. Zach, I have no problems with Jason Kelce. He walks away from the game. Much respect to him. He did his job. He did his time here. He did a great job. Carson Wentz. Zach, I come on the show every day and talk about how the city failed him. All right. The man has a free food truck that goes around the city giving out food to people. All right. And the AO1 Foundation is here and all the things he's done here. And that's just off the field. On the field, we know what he did in 2017. And then don't get me started about Zach. Say that again.
Last year as well, when they went on that run at the end of the year.
Last year as well. And then Zach. And then Zach and Zach Ertz. But let me get to Zach Ertz. Talk about another guy. Zach Ertz Foundation outside the city. All the things he's been into. All the things he's meant to the city. To see those three men on the field, that hurts. Because they all know this could be it. Now, I'm in favor of bringing Zach Ertz back. I know from a money standpoint, it might be a little bit difficult. But I'm in favor of bringing Zach Ertz back. Why? Because he's still a pretty damn good tight end. That's why. Zach, we were talking about Zach Ertz arguably in top 5 tight ends. We said Travis Kelce, George Kittle.
He was third best. He was right up there. He was right after
Kittle.
And
this is before Rob Gronkowski came back, so we say he was right there. And then you had the others. I still believe that he's a pretty damn good tight end. And if you're going to use a second-year quarterback, you're going to need that pretty damn good tight end with the other pretty damn good tight end in Dallas Goedert. But it's just something about last night, 2 nights ago, that gave me a feeling. And it doesn't make me mad at the players. It makes me feel bad for them. But it makes me infuriated with Howard Roseman and how Doug Peterson, I don't got a name for Doug. Dougie, I don't want to call him that. This is going to be straight up Doug. That's good. New name, Zach. Straight up Doug. Put down a t-shirt. The way how these men went out, it looks sad. Look, it reeked of depression. Zach, it really did. You and I both know.
They were in street clothes. They were unaware that anyone was taking pictures of them. They were just sitting there talking. I guess
Zach sat there in his jersey. He came out to the field. And the fact that forget the Carson Wentz situation. Let's just talk about Zach Ertz. Let's just talk about him. The fact that Zach Ertz sat on that bench after the game, went into the locker room, and then came back out. He wants to be here. You're telling me we can't figure something out? I know money is an issue, Zach. I don't got enough money to give Zach Ertz what he's asking for, but he's worth it. We know it. And if you're going to pull this stunt, Howard, you should have traded him in the beginning of the year when teams was asking about him. I agree. Doug needs to go. Howard needs to go. But I don't know about Zach Ertz leaving. That's one thing I'll stick with. Go ahead, Zach.
Just to wrap it up, it was just tough to watch. I wish nothing but the best for the Eagles moving forward. We went through eras before in Philadelphia, the McNabb era, the Andy Reid era. We've let go before. We've moved past it successfully. But for our generation to see a Super Bowl and see some of these guys starting to depart, it's definitely hard to see. Gavin, anything else you wanted to touch base on before the end of today's show?
Oh yeah, it has nothing to do with the Eagles. This is with the Chargers. What the hell was that, man? You fired Anthony Lynn, a winning coach. Zach, he had a winning record. Let me. And here's the reason why I'm pissed off.
6-1. 6-1 their last 7 games.
6-1 in the last 7 games. You have a rookie quarterback in the pandemic year. You didn't get any off season with him, and when it was, you didn't get any preseason. Zach, and then you forget there was no Derwin James. There was barely any Joey Bosa. All right, Melvin Ingram is old. Kenneth Murray's a bust. All right, this offense, you was in games, Zach. They were in games. They were 2 years removed from being in the playoffs. but you fire him. For what? Zach, first of all, if I'm the Chargers, I hope they lose every game next year. He's a pretty good coach. Fantastic coach. He had a winning record and you fired him. He was winning out his last couple of games. Zach, he was in majority of the games he lost due to his defense. If I am Anthony Lynn, I can't say what I want to say, but if I'm Anthony Lynn, first of all, I'll tell you off the show exactly what I was going to say. But if I'm Anthony Lynn, I wouldn't take that firing as a I would take that as okay, well, screw them. I'm gonna go find something better than that. I think Anthony Lynn deserves to be another head coach. Go ahead, Zach.
A lot of openings. Jacksonville, who also interviewed Raheem Morris the other day. Atlanta, also on that. The Jets. He might go down to a defensive coordinator. It's not uncommon for a head coach to take a job with that for a year or two and then come back up to the big level. If he does,
And you know what?
I'd be happy
about the defensive coordinator right here.
I would take that in a heartbeat. I think as a defensive mind, I think he's great. Again, yes, 2 years from that 12-4 team, they were one drop away from being the one seed in the AFC 2 years ago. People forget that, but yeah, Gavin, I'm hoping for the best for him. We'll see how that plays out. Tomorrow we'll break down all of the head coaching vacancies and rank them. Gavin, anything else?
And I wouldn't be surprised, Zach, and this is a long shot. I wouldn't be surprised if Doug Peterson gets his job called today. I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm not saying that because I've been wanting him gone, but this whole the Giants crying like little babies, there's a lot of drama going on, and you gotta get rid of him. You have to.
No one told the Giants to go 6-10. That's my final message. Everyone, thank you so much for watching today. We'll be back tomorrow. Stay tuned and have a great day.
Have a good one, everybody.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post excerpts